So I have a question for you guys to start off this video. Have you guys ever went to a family gathering or maybe at school and you had a buddy or a family member that did not know what dirt track racing was and they ask you about it and it's really hard to explain because you know they're just not gonna get it at the end at all? Well, if you're ever in this situation, this is the video for them to come and watch. Hey everybody, welcome back to today's video. If you guys are new to the channel, I am Tanner Holmes and I am a 16-year-old outlaw kart and sprint car driver from the state of Oregon. And every single weekend when I go racing, I document it and put it here on my YouTube channel, and we have built a following of about 25,000 people. Now today, we're gonna be simply making a dirt track racing for dummies video. This video is for all the people that don't know much about dirt track racing or racing in general. We're gonna go over things such as the order of events in a night and what that means. Also, that concept right there is really gonna help for people that don't know much about racing, that are trying to understand my videos and what's going on throughout the night. Now, we're gonna also go over quite a few terms, some of the moves that happen on the racetrack, like a slide job or a crossover. We're also gonna go over terms that have to deal with the racetrack, like rubber down or tacky or slick. I think I'm gonna end up making this multiple parts. I'm not just gonna post them day after day, but let me know if you guys want another one in the comments section down below, and let's get started. So every racetrack is different, and you're gonna run into a lot of different situations and formats, so I'm not gonna be able to cover every single one of them in this video, but I'm gonna try to cover every single possibility that could happen in a night. So when you show up to the racetrack, I would say 80 to 90% of tracks have a thing called pill draw. Pill draw is where there's usually about 1 to 100 pills in a bucket. You pick a pill and then that'll determine something to start your night. That could be what group you're in for qualifying. That could be what heat race you're in. That could also be what car you go out for single car qualifying. So pill draw is something that is important because, you know, if you go out early, the track could be better or worse, or if you go out later, the track could be better or worse. Many of the tracks that we run here on the West Coast have a pill draw. We got Southern Oregon Speedway, Cottage Grove, Red Bluff Outlaws, and Cyclin are all just a few examples. Now the pill draw is obviously just a lot of luck and you get what you get. Now the first thing that also most tracks do is wheel pack to start the night. Wheel pack is nothing involved with competition. Usually people play rock, paper, scissors out there or something like that. But it's where most of the classes will go out on the track and just roll it in slowly at idle pace. Now what this does is it wears in the track a little bit and gets rid of some of the mud puddles or any tracks that are any part of the track that is a little too wet. Now at some tracks, wheel pack might be referred to as engine heat. They're pretty much the same thing. You go out there, run a few laps under idle pace, bring it in, and then let your engine run a little bit more in the pits. And now's where the format will usually change depending on the track. Now, most places will have now hot laps, which hot laps is where you get to go out there and it's pretty much qualifying except your time doesn't matter. This is a good opportunity to further run in the track. Usually at Cottage Grove, it seems like hot laps is a little slimy. We'll get into the term slimy here in a little bit, but hot laps is mainly just to get a feel for your car, make some adjustments, and prepare you for qualifying. Qualifying would be the next order of events. Now this sometimes is right after engine heat or wheel pack, and some tracks have hot laps. Qualifying is your first event of the night that matters. This is where you go out on the track and you usually have 2 to 3 laps to get your fastest time possible. There's 2 ways that tracks can do qualifying. There's single car qualifying and group qualifying. In single car, you're out there by yourself and you get 2 laps, green, white, checkered, and you're done. Now in group qualifying, usually you get a lap or 2 extra, anywhere from 3 to 4 laps, but you're also out there with anywhere from 3 to 6 cars. Now in dirt track racing, next we have something called a heat race. A heat race is an 8 to 10 lap event consisting of anywhere from 6 to 10 cars, and you usually want to finish as far up front as possible and get in a transfer spot. A transfer spot are positions that lead you directly into the A-main event if you were to finish in them. So Red Bluff is a great example of this. First and second position in a heat race are transfer spots. Everybody else goes to a lower A-main event. This kind of just shows how important a heat race is. It's really quick. 8 laps is not a lot of time around most tracks, and you have to make quick and precise moves to try to make sure you lock into the A-main event. Now, after a heat race, we have a trophy dash. A trophy dash can mean many different things. At Red Bluff, a trophy dash is just for a trophy and some extra points in the championship standings. Now, in the sprint car, a trophy dash can mean where you're gonna line up for the A-main event. So if I start first in the trophy dash and win, I could potentially be starting on the pole for the A main event. A dash is similar to a heat race. It's very, very quick, anywhere from 4 to 6 laps, and there's only 6 to 8 cars. Now, everybody that's in the dash, if the dash is determining where you start in the A main event, are all already locked in. Another term we use a lot in my videos is the redraw. Now, the redraw can sometimes set you up for a dash. Pretty much what a redraw is like a pill draw. There's like 6 frisbees on the ground, or there's 8 pills in a bucket, and you just go one by one and we all pull a pill, and that is where you're gonna start in the A main event, or possibly a dash. So at Red Bluff, we have the top 6 starting positions in the A main event, and we have 6 drivers. And we all go up and we pull a frisbee, and that is where we're gonna start at the beginning of the A main event. For example, the past 2 weekends, I've pulled a 2, which means I was on the outside front row. Redraws can be a little nerve-wracking because it doesn't matter how well you run in a heat race. Even if you're in the redraw, you could start anywhere from 1st to 8th or 1st to 6th. So now at a dirt track race, we would be getting into the later part of the night. This is where the main events roll out. So the race that everybody wants to win are the A main events. If someone says they won the Knoxville Nationals, they won the Knoxville Nationals A main event. They didn't win a B main event or a dash or a heat race. A B main event or a C main event or a D main event all serve one purpose. It's an opportunity to try to get to that next main up and make your way towards the A main. So if you run 5th in a heat race at the Red Bluff Outlaws, you will be in the open C main event. If you transfer in the top 6 to the B main event, then you have to run top 6 again to make the A main event. So that's the order of events of the night. We have wheel packer engine heat, that starts it off. Then we get into hot laps, which is quick just to get your car dialed in. Qualifying, where you want to go as fast as you can for 2 or 3 laps. That'll set you up for a heat race, which is a quick 8 to 10 lap race. It's usually very, very intense because everybody is fighting for just a few spots into the A main event. Then we have our dash, which usually sets you up for starting position for an A main event, or it's just for a few extra points in a trophy. Then we have the redraw, which that's where you pull a pill to see where you're gonna start in the A main event, or there's a lot of other fun ways they do that. Then we have our main events. The D, the C, the B, those are to get you to that A, and the A main event is the race that you really want to win and be in. Now we're gonna get into certain track conditions. Now, a lot of the times in my videos, I really try to talk about where the track's at. I think that's an interesting part of the night because it's constantly changing, and as a driver, the person that usually wins the race is someone who's on top of what the track is doing, especially in bigger car racing like sprint cars. So this first term is something you never want to hear at a dirt track race, and that is the track is slimy or greasy. Now this means that the track is slick, but not in the form of slick and hard. It is in the form of being too wet. Now greasy is when you go out there, the track's gonna be wet, it's gonna throw a lot of mud, and you're usually not able to drive the car to full potential because you're just gonna go out there and slide around. Most of the time when a track does this, it's because it was overwatered at the beginning of the night, or we had heavy rain, and then the track is just really hard to recover from, and it's most of the time slimy all night long. Now once you're able to burn off all the grease on the track, which we usually try to do that in hot laps and in wheel pack, once you burn off all that grease, the track now becomes tacky. Tacky means it's gripped up and it's fast. Now they call it tacky because when a track is like this, you're able to walk out there and your feet will almost stick to the clay. It's just really sticky, it's really fast, and this is when your car is gonna be at the top speeds. Now when a track starts to get worn out from being tacky, it starts to lose grip and becomes a little bit slower. This is when the track gets slick. Now when a track gets slick, it also gets very hard. This is when it might start to eat up tires a little bit. You'll see it start to get grayer and grayer on the track. In my personal opinion, I think slick racetracks race the best because the racing slows down a little bit. You're able to move around a lot because it creates multiple lanes and it's not just hammered down wide open. When a track is very slick and there's not a lot of grip, you usually have to roll out of the throttle, and throttle control is the most important part of winning those races. Many people like to refer to tacky racetracks as hero dirt and slick racetracks as real racetracks. In dirt track racing, for the most part, tracks can't stay slick forever. If they're constantly getting worn out more and more throughout the night, you'll see it, like I said, get that gray, but at some point it's gonna go rubber down. Now rubber is another form of grip. It's not necessarily considered tacky, I guess, but it is just another form of grip, and the track is gonna get faster and faster. This is where the track really can't take it no more, and it starts to eat up the tires and it will get black. And it's called rubber down because the track is literally laying rubber in certain parts of the racetrack. Now, usually the parts that it's laying rubber is where everybody's running constantly lap after lap, and the times will start to get faster and faster. I've been in races where it started taking rubber lap 1 of the A main event, and you might be running, like, for example, a 9-second lap at the beginning of the A, and by the end of it, even though you've lost a lot of tire, you'll still be up to maybe 8.7s or 8.6s. Now, most dirt track fans would probably agree with me when I say that rubber down racing is not that great. The only facility I've ever seen run that good when it was super abrasive and super fast is Red Bluff. And that is because it rubbers down in 2 lanes, so you can still keep a very fast pace around the bottom and the top. So now we have 3 more terms to end this video, and the first one we're gonna be talking about is a slide job. Now, a slide job is a popular move to pass race cars in dirt track racing. This is where that maybe there's a car right in front of you and he's running the middle or the top side of the racetrack. Now, on a slide job, what you do is you gas it up and you drive it in farther in the corner under him, and you try to slide right in front of him, killing his momentum and getting him out of his rhythm. This is something they use in outlaw karts, sprint cars, non-wing cars, midgets, modifieds, late models, you name it in dirt track racing, and they are throwing slide jobs. It will be much easier to explain in a video, so here, I'll just play a clip of someone throwing a slide job in outlaw karts. Now, a move that goes directly with the slide job is a crossover move. So a crossover is when someone slides in front of you and you dive back under them and either slide them in the next corner or go back to the top side of the racetrack. That's a crossover. So for the most part, you'll see someone slide someone, they'll put a crossover on them, drive under their car and slide them back or keep running their line. If you go to a dirt track, you will see this move used every single race. They do it all throughout the night, heat races, dash, B mains, and A main event. This last term is gonna be the most confusing of them all, and it is racing back to the yellow. Racing back to the yellow is something that is specific for outlaw karts, and they do it mainly here on the West Coast. They race back to the yellow at the Roseburg Indoor, the Red Bluff Outlaws, Cycleland Speedway, and a few other racetracks. Now, racing back to the yellow is pretty much if I'm the leader of the race and I'm going into turns 1 and 2, and there's a yellow in 3 and 4, I have to race all the way back around the racetrack, by the wrecked race cars, hopefully there's a gap to get by, and cross the finish line. And that is what position I will be for the restart. So I've been in situations where I've been maybe running like 10th, they wreck in front of me, I'll get a few spots out of that, maybe I move up to 6th, and then racing back to the yellow, I could potentially pass a few more cars and gain positions before I cross the flag stand. Now, racing back to the yellow is obviously not the safest thing. It's just something I'm just completely used to because that's all we've ever done at Red Bluff since I started in beginner box. We've always raced back to the flag, and even if that means racing through a complete huge pileup. Now, if the whole track is blocked, they will throw the red. That's obviously a safety issue, but for the most part, there's usually an opening or two, and that's why outlaw kart drivers are so good at avoiding wrecks in midgets or in sprint cars, because we're so used to having to look half a track ahead to make sure we can race through a wreck safely. But that is the last term for this video. Let me know what you guys thought. I tried to get through all of them as quick as possible to make the video not 2 hours long, but I could make multiple parts to this because there's so many things I didn't even get to cover that I have on my notepad for this video, but I could tell we were going over time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I hope all you non-racing boys and girls have a little bit of a better understanding of what we do at the dirt track. And if you have any friends, share this video with them so they have a better understanding of what you do and what you enjoy. See you guys all in the next video, and thank you guys for tuning in. Deuces.